Hi, I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Revero Success Story Podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Kimberly. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you. Hello. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so Kimberly, let's start out. Tell us a little bit about what your life and your health was like prior to a meat-based diet.
Well, it could have been better. It could have been better. And I am grateful every day that I found the carnivore diet. I came from a very athletic background where I could eat whatever I wanted, as much as I wanted, whenever I was in my late teens and early 20s. And then I injured myself playing volleyball. I tore up one of my knees because of the inflammation from my diet. I found out later. I was also gaining weight in college and eating the SAD diet, the standard American diet, which is high grain, low fat, because you don't want to, gain weight. But despite all of that and my, playing volleyball in college and everything, I was still insidiously gaining weight. And I was dealing with a lot of just little nagging issues like inflammation in the body. I had some eczema. Every time that I would eat, I would have severe bloating. I'd look like I was about 5 months pregnant. I kind of struggled with binge eating and definitely a sugar addiction. And according to my doctor, whenever I was about 24, 25, I was on my way to type 2 diabetes. So I weighed about 260 pounds and something had to change. And so that's kind of how I was before I did the carnivore diet.
Awesome. Well, you look fabulous now. So,
Thank you.
yay. Okay, so when you very first started going more meat-based, how did you implement the diet? And did you have any transitional issues?
Yes, yes, I did. When I very first started, it was the day before Thanksgiving, 2018. And I came across a bunch of articles by ShawnBaker, some of his videos, as well as articles by Kevin Stock. And that's how I got started. I came across this information, and I'm a proponent of if you come across the truth, you can't ignore it. And I was reading all of this, fiber is bad for the human body. Our digestive system is monogut digestive system, where we don't have a fermentation tank for cellulose. A lot of the plant-based vitamins are inaccessible to humans. So I was reading this and a lot of it made sense to me. And so the day before Thanksgiving, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give this a try. And cold turkey, completely cut carbs, vegetables, fruit out of my diet. And the first 10 days, I was super strict. And I lost 10 pounds in 12 days of just water weight and inflammation that was going away. And over time, the same thing that happened to Kelly Hogan happened to me, where you gain 20 pounds in the beginning because I came from restriction. And so when my body, yes, when my body finally had access to that bioavailable nutrition, it was like, and all of it just stayed. And it took really about 3 months for that to adjust and for that weight to finally start to come off. But now I would say the bulk of my diet comes from ribeye and eggs. I used to use a lot of butter in the beginning, but I've kind of fallen off of the butter because I find it upsets me and gives me heart palpitations, I think because of the milk solids. But I also eat seafood, pork, chicken, cheese, kind of in that order. And I've kept black coffee because I'd like to have a little a little fun in life. To be fair though, I did cut it out and then added it back in, and I didn't see really any difference for me. Could be very different for someone else, but for me, the black coffee is good. You also asked about the difficulties transitioning to it. I experienced what my father lovingly calls the drizzling trots, where you may or may not make it to the bathroom. So I tried to stay very close. I also experienced little manageable headaches. I would get tired in the evenings. I also do CrossFit and Olympic lifting. And so I was taking weights off of the bar literally just to get through the workout because I would get just gassed by the end of it. So the energy was a little bit of something that I needed to manage, but that went away and I experienced that boundless energy. And then also something that I did not expect was socially, the social impact of doing carnivore, because you become pretty pigeonholed into a narrow space of what you can and cannot eat when you go out to a restaurant, for example. All of a sudden, you really can't, at least for me, there are people who can add these things back in, but for me, birthday cake, I cannot do it. And those were just, I mean, if you want to call it pros and cons, very manageable cons to me, the social part of it and the energy part of it that was so easily managed. And if you're hanging out with people that are going to be super judgy about what you can and can't eat for your own health and wellness, I mean, you really need those people in your life. So yeah, the transition, surrounding myself with people who supported that was huge also. Mhm.
That's awesome. And I think what you're describing is very common,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah. Okay. So now the best part, let's hear about what has improved since starting a meat-based
Ooh,
diet. And I want to hear if there's anything that kind of surprised you.
yes, yes. So the number one thing that I have found that changed for me was the being able to identify true satiety when it came to food. Um, with my sugar addiction prior and propensity to binge eat, it's super easy for me to sit down to a piece of cheesecake or a piece of, some kind of sweet potato, something, and just, I can't get enough of it. You cannot fill me up. But when I do the zero carb, protein and fat only, at some point you have to put the fork down. You can only eat so much protein in a sitting before your body just kind of goes, hey, that's plenty. And experiencing that level of it's time to stop eating as a signal from my body, like an intuitive signal that I had never experienced before, that was really cool. So controlling cravings that way, my eczema is completely gone. I used to get cystic acne super bad, like right along the jawline and chin on my face. That is gone. I don't have any bloating anymore. It's super easy for me to put on muscle. When I go to the gym, my blood sugar and energy is super regulated. And two things actually that have surprised me the most about carnivore is this switch in my mentality where I have gone from either being afraid to eat because of the fear of gaining weight or something that would make me sick to now in this restriction, there is freedom and I'm eating for health and wellness rather than weight loss. And that was one thing that really surprised me. And then the second thing was I don't burn in the sun anymore. Now, to be fair, I'll get red on my shoulders, but I work a job where I am outside and I can spend 6 hours in the sun and I do not burn. I just can. And I have heard that when you remove seed oils and canola oil and rapeseed and soy oil and everything out of your diet, those rancid seed oils that cause so much inflammation and oxidation in the body, when you just allow your body with the saturated fat and the cholesterol mechanisms and everything to actually do what they're meant to do, you're good to go. So those are two things that were really surprising to me.
That is amazing. I love how you touched on the satiety issue and with the whole sugar addiction and all that. I love how you brought that up because I think that is not talked about enough. So thank you for bringing that up. And also, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your success story with us, Kimberly. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. Yes, it's very nice to meet you finally, and I hope we get to talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kimberly. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Join Revero.health for a 30-day free trial to get access to live Q&A with VIP guests, social community meetings, member discounts, low-carb healthcare providers list, forum, workouts, monthly challenges, early access to podcasts, recipes, carnivore diet guide, fasting guide, shred guide, and much more.